Hello everyone, welcome to the Tim Booker channel. I wish you a pleasant listening experience. Today, the book I'm about to interpret for you is called The Minds of Billy Milligan. This is a non-fiction novel delving into dissociative identity disorder, a relatively rare psychological condition where an individual exhibits multiple distinct personalities. Research in academia regarding this disorder is ongoing. There isn't a unified answer concerning its causes and treatments, shrouding this psychological ailment in mystery. Many films and TV shows revolve around this theme, such as Identity, Shutter Island, Fight Club, among others. These classics in cinematic history all portray dissociative identity disorder and are influenced by the same source material, the book I'm introducing to you today, The Minds of Billy Milligan. The author of this book is the American writer Daniel Keyes. He excels in exploring intricate and profound psychological issues in his works. His debut novel, Flowers for Algernon, received the Hugo Award and the Nebula Award. Subsequently, The Minds of Billy Milligan earned the Laszlo Polgar Award for Outstanding Science Fiction and the Japanese Scion Award. Additionally, he authored several works exploring dissociative identity disorder, such as The War in Billy, The Fifth Sally, The Sisters of the Mirror, establishing himself as one of the most adept writers in portraying human psychology against a medical backdrop. The case depicted in The Minds of Billy Milligan isn't straightforward. In brief, in October 1977, within 2 weeks in Ohio, USA, 3 rapes occurred. The suspect, Billy Milligan, was apprehended by the police. During interrogation, Billy was diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, revealing the existence of 24 distinct personalities within him. These personalities differed not only in character but also in intelligence, age, nationality, language, and gender. Ultimately, Billy became the first individual in American history to commit serious crimes but was deemed not guilty due to suffering from dissociative identity disorder. I believe, like me, you might find it incredibly strange. How could one person have 24 personalities? Could it be an act by Billy to evade punishment? If it's an act, how could he portray 24 distinct personas? If not, what psychological basis supports this? Author Daniel Keyes, driven by these doubts, conducted extensive investigations. He not only engaged in hundreds of conversations with Billy himself but also interviewed 62 individuals closely associated with Billy. He even meticulously reviewed therapy videos of Billy. The author discovered that regardless of how bizarre this sounds or how much skepticism and controversy it evokes, it undeniably occurred and existed. Later, Netflix produced a documentary named The Minds of Billy Milligan, specifically addressing this case. If you're interested, you might want to give it a watch. Next, I'll dissect this book into 3 parts for you. In the first part, we'll follow the author in answering the question that everyone is curious about: was Billy deceiving the public, or was he an unfortunate victim? How did these incredible personalities of Billy come to be? In the second part, we'll analyze the Billy case from physiological and psychological perspectives, comprehensively exploring dissociative identity disorder and similar mental conditions. In the final part, we'll delve into what Billy experienced after being acquitted. What was Billy's ultimate fate? Part 1. Alright, let's rewind to October 1977, the time when the Billy rape case occurred. In October 1977, within 2 weeks, 3 campus rapes occurred at Ohio State University in the United States, causing widespread panic. To ensure safety, the school arranged specific individuals to accompany female students to and from classes. Fortunately, through the recollections and identification of 3 victims, along with fingerprint evidence, the police swiftly targeted their prime suspect, Billy Milligan, and went to his residence to arrest him. The police handcuffed Billy and, comparing the photo they had, confirmed it was indeed him. However, the other side of Billy seemed startled, wearing a bewildered expression, as if he couldn't recall anything, repeatedly questioning the police about what happened and whether he had harmed anyone. Billy's reaction puzzled the police. Subsequently, they took Billy back to the police station, where his behavior in the holding cell became even more bewildering. Curled up in a corner, trembling all over, he suddenly collapsed with a choked sob. Soon after, he regained consciousness, sitting blankly on the floor. Within moments, he spotted an insect on the ground and unexpectedly burst into laughter like a child. Hours later, the police transported the strangely behaving Billy to the prison van headed for jail. The prosecuting attorney responsible for this case saw the conclusion as indisputable: Billy was guilty, and the arrest evidence was flawless. Among the evidence collected by the police were the victim's credit cards, photographs, notes with the victim's name and address, as well as a handgun and bullets. With concrete evidence, Billy's public defense attorney seemed almost helpless. The prosecutor confidently joked that perhaps there was still one way out, claiming the defendant suffered from a mental illness. This suggestion struck a chord with Billy's defense attorney, who argued that Billy's various peculiar behaviors indicated his inability to withstand trial. Hence, they pleaded to the court, Billy couldn't defend himself and needed an evaluation by a psychiatrist. The court agreed to postpone the trial and appointed psychologist Dorothy Turner to examine Billy's mental state. On January 31, 1978, Turner had her first conversation with Billy. Shortly into the conversation, Turner discovered something shocking. Billy told her he wasn't Billy but David, the real Billy was asleep. Turner was deeply perplexed and hoped that the boy in front of her calling himself David could explain what was happening. After promising to keep the secret, David disclosed something astonishing to Turner. David claimed he was only 8 years old, unaware of why he was in prison, and would emerge whenever someone got hurt because that's what Arthur told him. Who was Arthur? Unfortunately, David refused to elaborate further, prompting Turner to conclude their first conversation. Turner had always been skeptical of dissociative identity disorder. Before visiting the prison, she believed she was dealing with a hardened criminal feigning mental instability to evade legal consequences. However, this conversation sparked Turner's curiosity, forcing her to reconsider the reality of Billy in front of her. The next day, Turner met Billy again, finding him drastically different from the previous day, almost unfamiliar. As soon as Billy spoke, Turner noticed the voice and accent had completely changed. It turned into a London accent. The person claimed he wasn't David but Christopher. Turner learned that this personality, named Christopher, was 13 years old, excelled in playing the harmonica, knew a bit of drumming, hailed from England, and had a 3-year-old sister named Christine. 3 days later, on her third visit, Turner found Billy once again completely altered. His eyes exuded arrogance, and his behavior was casual. It wasn't 8-year-old David or 13-year-old Christopher this time. The individual claimed to be Tom, aged 16. Tom was an escape expert, nothing could hold him if he didn't wish it. Additionally, he was adept at painting landscapes. After this conversation, Turner felt it urgent to inform Billy's defense attorney about his situation. However, she had previously promised David to keep the secret. How could she proceed? On Turner's fourth visit to Billy, she encountered Aaron, 18 years old. Aaron excelled in social interactions and was usually the one handling communication with others. Aaron told Turner that secrets belonged to everyone, and revealing this secret required the agreement of all personalities. The responsible figure, Arthur, also supported this notion. Note, Arthur was previously mentioned during Billy's first conversation. He differed from Billy's other personalities, serving as a manager or one of the responsible figures among all the personalities in Billy's mental world, deciding when each personality appeared under safe conditions. How did these personalities emerge? According to Arthur, inside Billy's body was a large spotlight. Many individuals stood around this spotlight, and whoever stood within it would gain awareness and emerge into this world. After spending hours persuading each emerging personality, Turner finally gained their consent to reveal Billy's secret to the defense attorney. Even as Billy's defense attorney, I've never encountered a case like this, so I approached Billy's situation with skepticism. With doubts, the defense attorney arrived at the prison. In prison, the attorney witnessed the transition of multiple personalities within Billy. First came David, who bore the pain, followed by the shy Danny. Side note, it was Danny who was arrested by the police. Danny, aged 14, was skilled at drawing living things but easily frightened, especially by strangers, particularly men. Then there was Tom, the escape expert, and Arthur, the responsible figure. Finally, there was Reagan, 23 years old, with a Yugoslavian accent. Reagan, another personality's responsible figure, unlike Arthur, mainly took charge in dangerous situations, deciding who appeared and who left, such as in the current prison scenario. Reagan is a hateful personality with violent tendencies, willing to resort to firearms in extreme situations, primarily responsible for protecting the safety of all personalities. Hence, there was suspicion that Reagan committed the rapes, but Reagan denied the charges. Subsequently, it was revealed by Reagan that, to protect Billy from further self-harm, he and Arthur had kept Billy asleep for 7 long years. The defense attorney spent 5 hours conversing with Billy in prison, transitioning from skepticism to curiosity, finally starting to believe in Billy's multiple personalities. However, to confirm Billy's condition and further convince the prosecutor and judge, the defense attorney planned to enlist the assistance of 2 more experts. One was Dr. Cornelia, renowned for treating multiple disorders, and the other was Dr. Hardin, a psychiatrist well regarded by many prosecutors. Dr. Hardin was sought because if he submitted a report to the judge confirming Billy's dissociative identity disorder and if his hospital was willing to take charge, Billy could receive proper treatment. On March 12, 1978, with everything set, the session commenced. This time, they not only encountered personalities like Arthur, Reagan, Tom, but also met the core personality, Billy himself, albeit briefly. After 7 years of dormancy, a trembling Billy emerged. Confronted with so many strangers, he crawled into a corner, terrified, curled up, and cried, asking, "Am I alive? What did I do wrong?" In a panic, Billy answered a few questions and retreated. After this tumultuous encounter, everyone present felt everything was too extraordinary. They perceived this Billy as if he were under demonic control. True enough, the next day, Dr. Hardin submitted his opinion to the judge. He believed Billy lacked the capacity to stand trial and requested to place Billy in his hospital for a 6-month treatment. The prosecutor and judge approved this request. The treatment began. Dr. Hardin's plan was to understand Billy's past, reassemble his shattered memories, then integrate his personalities into a unified whole. How? He decided to use recordings, capturing the behaviors of different personalities. This way, Billy, the core personality, could gain more insight into his past and the other personalities. On May 1, 1978, Dr. Hardin held the first recording session. This time, Adalana made an appearance. Adalana was a shy, introverted 19-year-old girl. She wrote poetry, cooked, and managed household chores. Her presence softened Billy's facial expressions, and his voice became more feminine. Adalana confessed in front of the camera that she was responsible for the misdeeds, stealing time that belonged to Reagan, committing the rapes. Finally, the truth was revealed. But why did she do it? Adalana told Dr. Hardin that she craved love, yearned for warmth and care, but she didn't intend to assault those girls. Perhaps the influence of medication and alcohol taken by Reagan led to these actions. The video method proved effective. This action allowed Dr. Hardin and Billy to witness the actions of the various personalities and understand others' thoughts about each personality. Gradually, Billy, the core personality, acquainted himself with his other facets and decided to cooperate with Dr. Hardin for personality integration. After a while, except for Arthur and Reagan, most previously displayed personalities were integrated. On September 12, 1978, Dr. Hardin submitted a comprehensive 9-page report to the judge. The report detailed what led to Billy's dissociative identity disorder. Now, let's delve into Billy's real past. Let's try to find the reasons behind Billy's bizarre mental state. When Billy was 4, his biological father committed suicide. His mother punished him over trivial matters. At that time, Billy discovered that closing his eyes whenever he felt sad or lonely made it all go away. When he opened them again, he found himself in a different place. Although losing time, thankfully, nobody punished him anymore. Later, his mother remarried, but his stepfather did not give Billy the fatherly love he lacked. Instead, he was very strict and hostile, even towards my mother. During this time when Billy was 8 or 9 years old, he suffered from constant abuse from his stepfather. His stepfather would take Billy to a deserted farm and force him to commit crimes. Afterward, he would threaten Billy, saying that if he told his mother, he would bury him alive. In reality, his stepfather actually buried Billy, leaving a pipe for him to breathe through, and then urinating on his face through the pipe. Dr. Harding analyzed that the unbearable pain Billy experienced likely led to the development of multiple personalities as a means of self-protection. Adalana, the personality that committed the crimes, emerged as a result of this. Billy enjoyed flowers and poetry and occasionally helped his mother with cooking. However, his stepfather disliked Billy doing these things and would call him a coward. In such situations, Adalana would come out to help Billy. One time, when Adalana was defenseless, the stepfather beat her with a rubber tube. From then on, men symbolized cruelty and hatred in Adalana's heart. At that time, what she wanted most was for her mother to comfort and embrace her, instead of crying alone in her room. At the age of 16, Billy experienced bullying at school, and this time he couldn't bear it anymore. He couldn't find a reason to live, so he headed towards the door that led to the rooftop of the school, intending to jump off. Luckily, Reagan appeared just in time and stopped him. Reagan and Arthur agreed that, for Billy's safety, they would no longer let him regain consciousness. Dr. Harding's final conclusion in the report was that Billy, after receiving treatment, was capable of standing trial. However, due to his mental illness, he could not be held responsible for his crimes. According to Dr. Harding's report, the judge announced that Billy was capable of standing trial, and the trial was scheduled for December 4, 1978. As we already know, the final outcome was that Billy was acquitted due to his mental illness. Despite significant controversy, Billy became the first suspect in American history to be acquitted of a serious crime due to multiple personalities. Part 2. Alright, let's wrap up Billy's story for now. Let's step out of his bizarre tale and delve into what dissociative identity disorder, DID, truly is in the realm of mental illness. Dissociative identity disorder, often known medically as DID, is one of the most contentious psychological disorders within clinical psychology and psychiatry. For our understanding, we'll continue referring to it as dissociative identity disorder. Individuals with DID feel the presence of two or more distinct identities or personality states within themselves, akin to alter egos. Each personality possesses unique traits, age, gender, interests, and in some cases, around 37% of patients even display alterations in dominant hand preference, from right to left, variations in heart rate, blood pressure, degree of myopia, and intelligence levels. You might wonder, with so many personalities coexisting, don't they clash? Do they influence each other? The answer is affirmative. Did patients experience these identities alternately taking control of their actions, often vying for dominance within the body, much like actors vying for the stage in a performance? Human nature is complex, exhibiting various facets, reserved in one instance, carefree in another, this we consciously navigate. However, the key difference for those with DID lies in the involuntary shifts among these identities. Triggers force particular personalities to emerge. For instance, Billy's Reagan personality emerges to protect him in dangerous situations, while David steps forward to bear suffering. This results in a disjointed life or amnesia. Researchers studied 100 DID patients and found that 98 of them experienced memory gaps between their different personalities. They complained of moments where they'd be doing something in one place, only to suddenly find themselves in an unfamiliar environment, completely unaware of their previous actions. Additionally, DID remains a rare mental disorder, historically and presently. Due to its dramatic symptoms, many often unwittingly suspect the patient is performing. Apart from clinical psychology, let's delve into the physiological aspects of DID. Some studies indicate that when DID patients switch from one personality to another, certain physiological indicators change. Variances occur in skin conductance responses and brainwave activities. For instance, in 1978, tests on Billy's brainwave activity revealed abnormalities, a slow, delta wave, in the right posterior region. This wave is more common in childhood, indicating the personality tested might have been a young child rather than the adult Billy. Such results either suggest equipment malfunction or indeed different brain functioning. Now that we've grasped the nature and symptoms of DID, let's explore its causes. The cause of DID remains unclear in academia. However, many scholars link it to childhood trauma, specifically neglect, physical abuse, particularly sexual abuse. In a study of 135 DID patients, 92% reported experiencing sexual abuse, primarily perpetrated by parents or family members throughout their childhood, a narrative quite apparent in Billy's story. Imagine an immature personality development in childhood, where a child, surrounded by pain and violence daily, lacks the ability to escape or seek help. What does one do in such a situation? Dissociation. As mentioned in the audiobook, What Have You Been Through, when sorrow becomes unbearable, an individual might distribute their agony across separate personalities to endure it. Moreover, as many traumas stem from negative experiences, alongside DID, other psychological issues manifest. For instance, among DID patients, 97% reported depression, 90% some form of anxiety disorder, 65% substance abuse, and 38% eating disorders, among other issues. Finally, let's touch on childhood trauma, especially abuse. While most grow up in nurturing environments, few experience or comprehend the plight of abused children. Yet, annually, millions of children globally face various forms of violence, physical, psychological, sexual, often at the hands of parents. Parents, the closest figures, sometimes become monsters. Those who endure childhood trauma may carry lasting physical and psychological scars. These individuals, as adults, are at a significantly higher risk of depression, anxiety, and, unfortunately, becoming perpetrators of violence themselves. Part 3. Lastly, let's return to Billy's story and observe how he continued his life after being acquitted. After the trial, Billy expressed to reporters, "I hope to become an ordinary person again, to rediscover the meaning of life." Though he couldn't immediately resume a regular life, strolling in the community, securing a respectable job, like an average person, he was sent to a relatively relaxed, controlled mental health center for further treatment. This mental health center, neither a hospital nor a prison, resembled more of a resort. The environment was incredibly comfortable, and the leading therapist, Dr. David Call, was highly experienced. Here, Billy received professional treatment, read books and newspapers regularly, exercised at the sports field, and continued his passion for painting. Given his skill, he even sold his artwork. He used the earnings to open an account in a bank, named Prevent Child Abuse Fund, and printed numerous leaflets with the slogan, "Today, please embrace your child, it's just a raise of the hand, please stop child abuse." Billy's treatment progressed methodically. Dr. Call discovered not only the previously mentioned 10 personalities within Billy, including core personalities like Billy, David, Christopher, Christina, Tom, Danny, Aaron, Arthur, Reagan, and Adalana, but also 13 unwelcome personalities Arthur continuously suppressed. Eventually, as treatment deepened, a personality named Teacher emerged, a fusion of various personalities into a complete Billy, unraveling the Minds of Billy Milligan. Considering Billy's positive progress, Dr. Call gradually relaxed restrictions. Initially escorted by medical staff outside the hospital, Billy was eventually allowed to venture out alone. Yet, this sparked intense public disapproval. The Columbus Dispatch reported, "Rapist Billy allowed to leave hospital, free to come and go in Athens." Negative reports about Billy surged, demanding legislative protection for society. Panic ensued, accusations and assaults flooded in. Waves of trouble followed, leaving Billy increasingly frightened, anxious, and his emotions spiraled, leading to a resurgence of his fragmented personalities. As public outcry persisted, on October 4, 1979, Billy was forcibly transferred to Limahl Psychiatric Institute, specialized in treating mentally ill offenders. The institute disbelieved Billy's multiple personalities, diagnosing his condition as psychotic schizophrenia, medicating him. However, the treatment exacerbated his personality fractures. In Limahl, Billy faced abuse from staff, sustaining 2 broken ribs. He wrote, describing the place as a dark, ghostly haven, leaving him a mere shell. This harrowing experience at Limahl was detailed in another book, Billy Wars, for those interested in a detailed account. Skipping ahead a few years, Billy shifted through various treatment facilities, his personalities integrating and fragmenting repeatedly. 12 years later, on August 1, 1991, a judge revoked the psychiatrist's and court supervision over Billy, granting him freedom. After gaining freedom, in 1996, Billy released a statement, mentioning his residence in California, owning a small film company. He aimed to adapt his experiences into a movie, having trained Hollywood stars like Johnny Depp and Leonardo DiCaprio, instructing them on portraying himself. Unfortunately, due to various reasons, the movie remained unproduced. On December 12, 2014, Billy passed away at a nursing home in Ohio at the age of 59, drawing the contentious chapters of his life to a close. Alright, that's the end of The Minds of Billy Milligan. Billy has been a subject of ongoing debate. Some believe him, seeing him as a victim of childhood trauma, feeling sorry for his experiences and illness. Others view him entirely as a masterful trickster, fooling psychologists, lawyers, judges, gaining far more attention than the three actual victims. In truth, neither stance is entirely right or wrong. Billy's legendary journey was destined to be discussed and contested. He was both fortunate and unfortunate. Perhaps, through this saga, the focus should shift to children like Billy, who faced abuse in their early years, to prevent such tragedies. Just as Daniel Keyes wrote at the beginning of this book, to abuse children, especially those who have not been discovered. For children whose minds are not yet mature, parents are like mirrors reflecting their image. If a child lives through severe trauma, what they might see through this mirror could be the demons lurking within. In a nurturing, respectful environment, the mirror could reflect the angels dwelling within. So, just like the line Billy once printed on a leaflet, today, please embrace your child, it's just a raise of the hand. Well, that wraps up today's content. Congratulations, you've finished another book. Thank you all for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, like, and share this valuable knowledge with friends. Let's combine wisdom and action to achieve our financial goals and create a better future. Thank you all, goodbye.